Welcome back to Raw Grade and Flip, and today I want to do a Q1 and Q2 report, kind of see where I'm at, and show you guys what has sold, and my numbers for the first 2 quarters of the year that I started doing raw grade and flipping. So I'll go through everything you see here, but just to let you know, it is for the first 2 quarters, which is January through June. So these won't have my July sales, but I'll do a little preview of that because July kind of crushed it overall. So let's get right into it. As we can see here, I'll just kind of do quickly through it. I have all my pods of grading order, so we'll run through that, but there's all that. And I guess we'll just start quickly from the top and I'll just kind of run through things. So, as we can see for the first pod, I'm only at 43% of the money recouped. Second pod, a little better, 65% recouped. Scroll down here. This one we're actually in the profit, $94 with 121% recouped. This profit does not count any cost of goods. It just counts the cost of grade. So, I'll show it a little bit later, but my cost of goods are, I don't bring them down individually because a lot of this stuff was pulled from boxes. So I'm not really breaking down what each card out of a box costs, that much. I take my total cost of goods, into the year for taxes and, do it that way. In the upcoming future, I will have a cost of card. When I know, hey, I bought it from a show or bought it from eBay, I can put it in there and really tweak the gain loss aspect of it. But moving on, this order from 320, we're almost there at 85% cost of goods, 85% recouped, though this order will probably, I don't even know if it will be in the profit as I only have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items left, and they're definitely low end stuff. But it is interesting that my 89 Bowman, that most of them are 9s and 8s, is one of my orders that is almost completely sold out. I think it's because people like and want those cards at a cheap price, so they get to take advantage of the cheap price that uh, I have to give them to sell them, and most of them are sold less than the cost of grade. The next pot here from 419, we're only at 45% recouped. Moving down, this is the Topps Chrome update. Part of that from that case break, 40%. And then, let's see, this one for Q1 and Q2 didn't have any sold, but I didn't get it back till May, so really only had a month and a half in Q2 to try to sell something. And then another one, we're only at 9%. Again, this is for the first 2 quarters, so include July. And then the last one that I graded that got back in the second quarter, we're at 17%. So I'm going to run back up to the top, real fast. If you can see this is what it's sold for. Actually, I'll start over here. Predicted value is usually what I list it for, and then when it sells, I change it to what it sold for. Some of these values are higher and lower. If I lower it on eBay, I'll try to remember and come in and tweak this. So some predicted value is probably 10 to 15% higher than what everything sells for in the end, but that's how I keep track of that. Sold, this is the sold, not including the shipping fees and taxes and all that. And then this is the final earnings, which I pull from the eBay. This takes out eBay fees, promotional fees, whatever I pay for shipping. So this is the money that would get sent to my bank account. Obviously, cost to grade, and then the gain loss here for individual cards. I don't pay too much attention to that, other than, oh hey, this card went from raw to graded and sold, at a high value, maybe I look for more of those cards. But, you know, a red negative doesn't bother me other than, hey, maybe that's not a card to grade in the future, but it's still profit once, I reach over 100%. So, if we go down here, you know, this individual card here, as a individual card by itself, I technically lost money. But, once I reached, 100% here, really, if I had sold this card tomorrow or today, then that's a profit of $18 because I've already made back my money. So that's why I don't worry too much about it. Now, when a lot of them are reds and stuff, then that's really going to mean you're not going to make it back. So hopefully, you really get one or two of those or three of those big cards that help. So, this order, that Julio Purple Refractor Gem Mint 10, sold for $175. Final earnings of 148, profit, I guess you can say, of 127. That helped chunk down my cost of goods. So these little ones, become profit even if they're, this 96 cents actually is, $21, if that makes sense. And then you could take this at a larger scheme instead of just within your pods, just within your whole business. Let's see, some other numbers I can show you guys is up top on the right here. So for the first 2 quarters, I had a total cost, which cost to grade, of almost $4,000. I had sold about $2,000 after fees, came to about $1,760. So I was in the hole, almost $2,200. My predicted value is $8,000. I'd probably take 10%, maybe even 20% off that because of some things sell less, some things sell more. It probably evens out, but maybe this is 6,000. And I'm 44.5% recouped for the first 2 quarters of selling in inventory. Now I kind of split it up here so we can kind of look at some a little bit deeper dive. Now remember, I started it this year, started in January. I didn't get my first order back until the end of January. You can see down here. So for Q1, which is January, February, and March, I sold 20 items, which, came out to $849.94. The final earnings were $728.94. My first quarter of this, new, side hustle enterprise, my final earnings were, like I said, $730, but the cost to grade was way more than that for all the ones, especially the ones that didn't sell. But it's a good start. I didn't have probably the best inventory. I had random stuff, low end stuff, but it was nice to get started. Biggest sales were Julio 10, Bryce Elder Gold, which could have sold that for double if I had realized it at the time. But hey, I sold it fast and moved on. But if we move down here to Q2, we sold 42 items with a total sale of $1,456.40, and then that gives us a net final earnings of $1,244. So double what I sold in Q1, which is nice. Keep that trajectory going up. The net was almost double, from 728 to 1244, a little bit less than that. And I'm not sure what, obviously the cost of goods were more. I think I graded a lot more in in Q2, but that is that's the same as before. So that's kind of where I'm at. If we want to do a quick sneak peek of Q3/July, July has actually really crushed it for me. So let's see, in July alone, I sold 44. So in 1 month, I sold what I sold in all of Q2. And then if we go over here, the solds were 1542, which again, in 1 month, that's more than I sold in all of Q2. And then the final earnings side of that was, same thing, 1316, which is again higher than all I sold all in Q2. So that's, I think really shows once you build up your inventory and you constantly are post or listing and having new inventory, you're gonna catch fire, with eBay, with the algorithm. My impressions, skyrocketed. Another big thing I did in July, actually a week or two ago, is I usually do this every month or every 6 weeks. I end all my listings and do a sell similar and get them back up there, so it's a fresh listing for buyers. Even if I have tons of watchers, I don't care if they're not buying it; they're not buying it. And then it attracts new buyers, and I did that, and I think I sold 15 new items within, the 3 days I did that. So, especially items that had just been sitting there for, almost 6 months. It kind of kickstarted them back on someone's either search engine or safe searches or whatnot. So that's something I do, regularly, as well. Now, the last thing I'll show here, and I'll add some caveats to it, is I also flip and resell used clothes. I started that last year. I did that full year last year, so that is added in here because I have my one eBay account that does both the clothes and the cards. The cards are obviously taking over, selling more of those on eBay than the clothes, but they're kind of mixed in here. So far for this year, my total cost of goods for sports cards is almost 2,900. That's mostly all the boxes and stuff I bought. Some the individual cards I buy on eBay or the card shows. My grading fees. This actually includes a Q3 grading fee, which was about 400. So Q1 and Q2, my grading fee was really 4,000 give or take, and any resale supplies, like $200. Clothing wise, I bought 111 pieces of clothing this year with $500. What I do like about selling the clothing is my average cost of goods is really low versus cards. Your cost of goods is the card plus grading fees. As you can see here, the red just shows which green means that platform sold more, so it's not anything negative like that. It's just doing that. As you see, July itself just crushed any individual month. So far, eBay's made me, or I've sold, 55, 66 on eBay. Poshmark for clothing, I sold that. Total, net revenue, I've sold 71.68, though my cost of goods and cost to grade, etc., is more. So technically, for the year, I am negative, and I'm not worried about that. I attribute it to this is the first year I am doing sports cards, and I have to build up that inventory. It was roughly the same for me last year with the clothes. First, 2 quarters, I had to get the clothes bought and listed and, get the ball rolling. And, that took off, and, I made a little decent side money last year for that. And so this year, if I can break in on, the positive at the end of the year, I'll be happy. If it's break even, I'll be fine with that, because that will also mean I have hopefully a pretty stocked inventory of cards that will roll into next year. And, I'll obviously continue grading and listing. So that is about it. Let me get back over to that one. This is this is where I'm at currently. Like I said, for July, I'm July's with July added in. If you look at the top right here, I'm 70% recouped so far. Now I do have 4 PSA orders out there that will, add a couple $1,000s to the total cost, and I'll need to hopefully have a flurry of sales in August to keep cutting this down and trying to get in the profit. But again, not too worried about it all. Enjoying it and learning some good lessons to what cards to find and how to find them. And I'm a sucker for grading base cards, but obviously I know that's not the it's not the best thing, but it's something I enjoy doing. So I'm working to stay away from that and really up the quality of cards I send and grade, and you know, just a lot of stuff available to sell. Here's a lot of those Chrome updates that have finally been selling for me. These are all zeroed on nothing here on the Q2. This was all empty. If we do a fast scroll, I think Q1 and Q2, I only had one pod in the positive here. This one just went over, so 14 cents over. That one's even more. That one's almost there, 90%. This one's at 67% with some gold chunks. This one's great, 71%. I've only sold 7 items. That's 30%, 60% with a lot to go, 44% with a lot to go. And my most recent stuff, I'm at 60% with only 5 items sold. So pretty excited about this order. If you haven't watched this reveal, definitely check it out. I'll link it at the end. But this is a fun one with all the King Griffies and the different inserts from the 90s. All right, that is about it. I know this was a lot of numbers and, my sheet's moving around. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got some information out of it and, kind of what it takes to build up to what you need to do. I should have a PSA order coming in the next day or two, as I just got the tracking, so I'll get that video up ASAP. If you enjoy this, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. Till next time.